So I'm Bill Garrett. I have the honor of being the president of Cristo Rey Atlanta Jesuit High School. And I like to take this from two perspectives. One is, so I was at a big healthcare organization here in Atlanta. And so we did those boring trainings. We enforced all of our employees to go through those training programs. But I think that was just check the box so we could deal with any lawsuits that might come up. And I think that that's important that we work with the employees and particularly the supervisors to make sure that there's not false impressions and bias towards certain groups of employees. And so while I don't want to minimize that, I think we're not spending enough time working on the other end of the equation, which is to actually make sure that the employees that tend to be discriminated against are actually qualified for the jobs. And I think that's something we don't want to talk about because it's not something that we should do in proper society. But the reality is that there are a lot of particularly lower income segments of the population that simply are not as qualified as the higher income segments of the population. And there have been studies done by Harvard, which just published recently, that says that Atlanta is one of the most difficult places to raise out of poverty in the entire United States of America. And the United States is actually more difficult than many other foreign countries. And why is that? Part of it is because of the perception of the employees, but part of it is because the skill sets are lacking in many of our lower income brothers and sisters in this country. So what are we going to do about it? I think we need to do something to make sure that they have the proper skill sets that frankly many of them are lacking. And so one of the things that we did at Cristo Rey is we start with low-income high school students and give them an opportunity to have a better high school educational experience than they would get if they went to their normal public school experience. And we're talking about realities, not perceptions, because many of the students that come to us are coming from underperforming schools in this state of ours. And because of that, they're just not, they don't have the level of education that some of the other students who don't go to our school, because we're the most exclusive school in Georgia. We only accept low-income kids. But we do two things with our students. Actually, we do three things. First thing we do is we give them a rigorous college prep program. We make sure that they're ready to go to college. And the correlation between what our students get and what other students in the state do not get is AP, advanced placement classes. There is a very strong correlation between those that take AP and those that graduate from college. And minority students, by and large, don't take AP classes because the school systems are biased against them taking because they don't want them to get below 3s. You've got to be able to have that experience of taking an AP class if you want to graduate from college. So our model is no excuses. We're going to give you the opportunity to succeed, and we're going to give you the resources and tutoring. Somebody's from Georgia Tech here. We're right next to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech provides a lot of tutors to our students. But in addition to that, we also send them to the workplace. And if you haven't got this list yesterday, which I passed out, you can just take one. If you already have it, I don't have enough for everybody again. But this is a list of the companies that we're working with, and it's the who's who of Atlanta. It's all the major companies in Atlanta, like Home Depot, all the great companies in Atlanta that are providing great services to our students. And frankly, the companies are saying that they want to have more inclusiveness in their workplace. And by bringing in students earlier, by giving them a chance to have a solid education, by giving them the STEM background that we give them academically, they have a chance to succeed. But we don't just send them into the workplace. Before they go, we give them a 2-week solid course on soft skills so that they know how to act appropriately when they're in the workplace. That, by the way, is one of the major things lacking among our young employees, is that they don't know how to act properly. How do you look somebody in the eye? How do you shake your hand? What's your elevator speech? Those are the things that all of us, all of our employees need to learn. Some of them learn it at home. Some of them don't learn it at all. That's one of the things we do for our students. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting, the challenges, and I'm glad that we have an audience that we can talk about some of the things that we may not want to talk about in polite society. So it's nice to see you bring that up, so thank you. You know, and different organizations treat diversity in different ways. I helped found the Coca-Cola Company's Women's Link, or our women's organization, which is 17, 18 years old now. It was done pre-litigation, but it's interesting in having some conversations here, even this morning, about somebody that came from a company that when they talked about trying to create a diverse a employee resource group, that they didn't want to do it because they may have to give it to everybody, and that's going to be a lot of work. That person no longer worked at that company. No big surprise. But everybody, you know, there's lots of opportunities, and we think about it, is it women, is it minorities, is it, we have a military business resource group at the Coca-Cola Company. But how about differences in thinking? Right, I know a woman by the name of Jennifer Conweiler. She's on the board with me at National Speakers Association, and she talked about the introverts. So in my mind, if we get to a truly diverse place where we're all appreciated, it's not race, it's not religion, it's also diversity of thinking and thinking patterns and experiences that enables you to bring your whole self to work and feel valued. And one of those unconscious biases may be the extrovert that always bullies out the introvert, that never lets the introvert come in and bring the valuable feedback that they have. Without further ado,